Hey, everybody, welcome to Tea Time with Amy and Bev.
Hello, hello, hello.
I'm still at work,
You're, s-
still wearing the
I'm
same
still,
clothes.
I'm still chilly after it was even sunny and pretty warm a few days ago. I'm running around, watching the grandkids playing ball and stuff. Someone says, "Oh, you got some sun." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I was out at the game, watching the kids at the game."
Oh, yeah.
So, which is fun and gets
Yeah,
me outside. It's fresh air. I love it.
yeah, for sure. It's
Now
amazing
it's
what
cold.
fresh air can do for us.
That's right. Being out in the outdoors is very beneficial and healthy for us. Putting your feet in the dirt without shoes on when
Yep.
it's warmer.
Yeah. I've had a couple conversations this week about people getting um, out in nature more often. And since I'm having those conversations, it's probably for me too, because I've been doing a lot of hours at work, and then leaving work and going home. And so I haven't been out much. I did when the weather got nice, I did go for a walk one day last week. And then the weather got crappy. My perspective got a little crappy for it to be for walking. So anyway, it's the way it is.
It's just the way it is.
It is the way it is. So I had a conversation with a coaching client the other day. It was interesting. Um, she was mentioning that she has this pattern of staying at a job for about 2 years and then moving on to the next. And she's in a position right now where she's with the company where she's been there almost 2 years. And a situation at work happened, some shifting and dynamics changed. And now it's not as enjoyable. She enjoyed her job, but since these things had changed, it's not as enjoyable. And she kind of dreads going to work now. And this other door opened for her that is clearly on the other side of the spectrum of opportunities. It's not even in the same field. It's way, way, way different. So we were talking about it, and um, interesting enough, just prior the previous coaching call, we talked about career and what she likes to do, what really lights her up, and she was telling me about it. That was the previous coaching call. Then we have this current coaching call, and a door opened in that field that we talked about. And she started down. So this is the difference. So I just want people to hear as I'm telling this story, the difference between victim and
Mm.
student, right? So the victim kicked in and said, well, I don't want to feel like I'm running from this job and this situation. And I can hear my brother's voice in my head who said at one time to me that you only stay at a job for about 2 years and then you shift, then you change. You're not very steady in your employment. So she's got that little voice in her head. Then she's got this company she's with where things have gone a little south, not very enjoyable. Um, they've done a lot for her and obligation. So she's feeling obligated to stay. So, victim side. And I pointed out to her, I said, okay, let's back up to the previous conversation. The previous conversation, we were talking about the subject of which this door has opened for this opportunity for you to walk towards. And let me tell you this side note, she said it's more money as well. Just saying. Which she said, she goes, I'm very motivated by money and this is a great opportunity. And I said, okay, so you have this great opportunity. more money in a field that you enjoy, completely different from what you're at. So it's not like a lateral move to the same industry. It's way different. But yet, you're hearing your brother's voice in your head and you're feeling obligated and you don't want to feel like you're running away from it. Interesting how we perceive things.
It is. It is, because perspectively, I would say, in which I feel like you were kind of alluding to, this door opened up for a reason. It doesn't matter if she leaves, from my perspective, it doesn't matter if you leave a job every 2 years. If you're leaving a job every 2 years, of course, unless it's a pattern, right? We're talking about a pattern, but maybe spirit's like, you've learned enough at this job, it's time for you to go to the next thing. And so it's like we can get so caught up in things and try to hold on to things and not let go of it, not allow it to kind of allow it to unfold like it was meant to unfold, but that's like controlling everything. And then like hearing the voice, to me, we really got to be aware of what are our first feelings when we when we hear these things. Do we get excited? Like, what was the reaction if you heard something? Like, if for me, I'd be super excited if another door opened up and it was on the other side of the spectrum of things, and it was like, it sounds like all this exciting stuff. I would probably, my first feelings would be like, this is exciting, let's go do this. And then my brother's voice, and then the self doubt, and then the self sabotage, and all those thoughts come in because that keeps you right where you're at. And then it's like, then you have to be curious about, why are you punishing yourself, keeping yourself in a place that you don't even want to go to work? So it's like there's so many different things that, and of course, that's just one perspective, right? That's just a perspective of what you're saying right now. But it's like there's so many things, and then it's like she could just take it. I mean, it's giving her the things that she wants, and to me, there's an incentive there. That's like, it reminds me of the thing, like, God, there, someone's asking for help, they're hanging by a rope, right? And God's like, well, just let go, and it's like, I can't. And then they look down, and they're only like a foot off the ground. It's like nobody was ever going to get hurt. You got to have faith and let
Yeah.
go.
Yep.
And I don't think we're in a time space reality that staying at a job for 50 years is a relevant thing. It's not even people staying in relationships that long, because there's been a lot of relationships I've seen that people have stayed together for years and years and years, and they don't even like each other. So it's like, it's just, there's a process here, right? It's just learning how to kind of let go and just kind of, like we were talking about last time, it is a surrender. The surrender would be like, okay, I'm going to do this because it obviously showed up in my experience, or else I'd be with my pendulum. I'd be with my pendulum like, listen. And the thing is, I know exactly what the answer that what I would like. So it's like we get so afraid of making a move. It's so easy to stay stuck.
Yep.
It is, because then you don't
Well,
have to do anything. You can just stay there and be stuck.
and the idea that one of the main things that was keeping her stuck was her brother's voice. And I told her, similar to what you were pointing out, is I said, okay, we just had a conversation about doing something different in a field that you would thoroughly enjoy. This door of opportunity has opened, and you're allowing a voice of somebody doesn't even live near you to have more power over your joy, your happiness of your life. I said, that don't make much sense to me. I'm
Yeah.
guilty of doing it,
Yeah.
but now
Me
I'm on
too.
the other side of that and understand it more. And so you're giving more power to him and letting that control your life than you taking the step to move
Yeah.
towards something that contributes to your happiness.
And fear, right? Fear is such a huge contributing factor for all that. And that's not how we were taught fear. We were taught fear. Be careful, you're going to fall down. Be careful, you're going to trip over that. You better watch what you're doing. You're going to break your nose, or you're going to break your wrist, or you know what I mean? There's all these things that I've done it with my kids too. So, you
Yeah.
know,
Yep. I did.
because I was so afraid of something happening to them, something could happen to them and then it could be taken away from me. I'm realizing I don't own them and they can't be taken away from me. I mean, honestly, we're connected. And
Yeah.
that's something that I've been practicing. Well, that's another story. I was gonna say I'm about to jump onto something else going into telepathy. So we'll just,
We'll
you
table
know
that.
how I do.
But yeah, so I guess my point is that we give so much power to other people and their thoughts and their ideas of what our life should be like. I said, let me ask you this. Is he jealous or envious of you in any way? And she goes, oh yeah. I said, he is not speaking from a space of being concerned for you and your life. He is speaking from a space of being envious or jealous of your life because he hasn't chosen to make the changes that would benefit him to be happy.
Yeah. Which isn't always easy for men because they're the caretaker of the house. You know, there's a lot of responsibility on their shoulders. But
Yeah.
that's something that we're all learning right now to kind of like, what do I really like? I'm still trying to figure that stuff out. So it's like it's the same thing, you know? It really is. And it's like you just like you said, you really can't. I mean, she can. She can take on all that those feelings and listen to it and take it to heart. So afraid that she's gonna do something wrong. Because what if he's right? And the whole thing is, what if he is? Who cares? There's another job that another door is going to open up. It's just being free to make those decisions.
And I told her, I said,
Maybe.
first
Yeah,
of all, go ahead.
I was gonna say I had been struggling with this for probably the last few years, but it's like I'll get there when I get there.
Yeah. And I said, it's not. So I said, all this stuff has transpired at your current place of employment. It's not enjoyable anymore. You kind of dread going in there. And this door opened. And it's like, here's a door that's opened of opportunity for you to walk through. I said, we already know not everything is permanent, everything is temporary. So this door opens. Now, mind you, it's like a 45-minute drive for her to take this opportunity, but there's also flexibility in it for her personal life. And I said, this door is open for you to walk through, which would be probably way more enjoyable for you. And what if we already know it's temporary? What if it lasts a week and something else opens? What if it lasts 5 years and then something else? It doesn't matter. The idea is you're not enjoying where you're at. We talked about this topic and you were excited about it. The door has opened. I said, sometimes we all have this creativity in us, and there is something in life that lights us up. And the universe will guide us to it if we walk through the doors, if we take the steps. And that's what the universe is doing. You're not happy where you are. You talked about this thing that lights you up, and the universe is choreographing all these things to guide you through this doorway so that things can blossom for you. And then I said, I'm going to be very facetious right now. And I wrote a word in capital letters on a 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, and I showed it to her. And I told her, I said, it's very judgmental and I'm being facetious. And I was laughing and we were enjoying our conversation. And I just wrote dumbass on there and showed it to her. And she cracked up and she's like, I hear you. So it's just letting your excitement, your passion, your fun, your enjoyment be the power over what everybody else is thinking or saying that your life should be like.
Because we're letting someone else determine what's going to make us happy and what's not going to make us happy. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
That's being a child again. And children don't like to be told what to do either. I've watched it in my grandson. Nobody, you don't take anything away from me. He'll be willingly hand me something, but don't take it away from him. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Just like we wouldn't like it either. So it's like it's pretty obvious stuff.
Yeah.
It is. It is when we start paying attention to it, when we start honoring ourselves and allowing ourselves to make those moves and changes, because those moves and changes are what changes our whole freaking life. We keep asking for change, and I've been that person. keep asking for change. But if you're not willing to make the change, or you're not willing to put your left shoe on first before your right shoe, or whatever it is, make a left turn instead of a right turn, because maybe there was something pulling you past that way to go look at another property, or you'll see someone that needs help and you help them and they tell you, hey, I really could use this. And I mean, it's just like this, the whole process, right? It's being excited about the adventure. It's being excited for the journey that we're taking right now. Oh, well, that's interesting. Spirits opened up a whole nother door for me again. I'm gonna go explore this door, because if I want to, which I really don't want to, I could always go back to something like that.
Yeah.
But I don't really want to. And that's the things to pay attention to, right? It's like, what are your desires? Do you want to do something? Because I find myself talking myself into things a lot, and or talking myself out of. It's mostly these days. It's talking myself out of doing something. Spirit gives me information, and I'll be like, no, I'm not going to say that. No, I'm not going to do that. Or I just ignore it, and I'll do it in a few minutes, and then I forget. So it's like spirit wants us to listen to and respond that way, like pretty quick. Spirit's like, on the ball. I remember there was a person I had a reading a long time ago, and she's like, oh, basically Spirit's telling you, you got to get out, you got to go, you got to run. Now's the time. But Spirit also knows that, or they have a different time schedule, because they don't have a time schedule. We have time here. We can't literally just make jumps. We can, but we think we can't, because we've got our brother in our ear, or our dad, or our mom, or someone else that's made fun of you, because it's like, am I going to screw this up again? No, you're going to screw it up by not doing it. No, you won't screw it up.
And who cares if you do?
Because there's no such thing.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, there's no such thing. We came here to explore and try new things. I didn't come here to work as a cashier my whole life. I didn't come here to do, work in, I don't know, some of the jobs that I've worked at. I didn't come to do that my whole life. That's not what I intended. We gain whatever information and knowledge we need from that. And sometimes that's like learning how to communicate better. Sometimes that's learning how to listen better. Like there's all these factors that come into play from each position that we take.
Yep. And even if you feel like you messed it up, you didn't mess it up. It was a learning experience. It was just walking through it, a door of opportunity that's going to lead you to the next. It was an opportunity to learn more about yourself and your courage to do something different or move in a different direction. There's so much to be had by. And this was another conversation I had with her about another situation that was changing for her in her life. And she's like, I don't know what to do. What if this happened? The what if avenue of fear, fear, fear. And I just looked at her. We were on Zoom, and I just looked at her and I said, and what if it's amazing? What if it's beyond your wildest expectations? What if it's really fun and really good and things just turn out incredible? What if that? And I kind of had to remind her of that same conversation about this new position. And so, yeah, we just get caught up in the fear and everybody else's opinions and what they think is best for us. And we stifle our creativity, we stifle our abilities to make decisions and learn from them. And standing more in your power and having the courage. And we've talked about this too, trust and faith.
It does take a lot of courage to do some of these things. I
Yeah,
mean,
really
I'm
does.
saying that for myself. For everybody, it does take a lot of courage. You really have to kind of step out of the box sometimes, because we've been operating on the things that we know, and we can't operate it that way anymore. So you have to be open to receive, and this is where I'm at lately. I've got to be open to, I don't have to be, but in order for me to keep um drawing a blank on the words, in order for
Growing,
me to keep elevating
expanding.
or expanding, yes, in order for me to do all those things, I've got to take a step out. I have conversations and talk to people like you're getting, like this person's talking to you. It's like really being aware of like all the things. We restrict ourselves so much, and we have an expectation for ourselves to be perfect at something, on things we've never even tried before. And it's like we can't just be perfect on the first time that we go to do something, just like I was starting to say about art. someone didn't just start out drawing this way. It was something that they cultivated. It was something that started out like with a desire, a passion. And you can look at it and say, I can't do this. I'm doing a shitty job, but you still got a little fire inside of you that's still wanting to do this. And you just keep doing it because you trust the journey to see how it's going to just play out. How is the image going to turn out? Someone, it started with just that pencil you were holding in your hands, that amazing, wonderful pencil you were holding in the last video, just to start that first line. Exactly. And it's like, that's that step, right? That's that step of being brave, or maybe taking an art class to learn more about it because it is your passion. I think a lot of the times I have an expectation for things to come so naturally. I really expect them to like I'm going to open up a door and walk through a certain door, and all of a sudden something just turns on with a flip of a switch inside of me. Now I'm starting to do that stuff. This is my thoughts. Who knows? I don't know, because I don't know if it's been proven to me yet, but I've got those feelings, and it's like we got to trust these things that this guidance that we're getting, these nudges that we get, and the excitement of it, and recognize as soon as we start getting into that place of, ooh, this doesn't feel good. Recognize when you're starting to talk to yourself, I'm hearing this voice and it's talking to me and it doesn't feel good what it's telling me, because it's telling me to go away from my dreams, my hopes, and my desires.
Yeah. Yep. And the more you lean into something that contributes to your joy, your passions, your desires, your energy shifts, your external environment shifts, you have amazing conversations, you make room for new and fresh energy in your environment, in people that come and connect with you. It's there's a lot of benefits to following those urges that feel good.
Yeah. And it's asking Guy, like, I was just doing it while you were talking. Not that I wasn't listening to you, but I was like, thank you, archangels, for showing up tonight for me. Because it's like, I didn't have anything. I didn't want to talk. I mean, I didn't have anything to talk about. Like, I just didn't think until we start talking, and until something, then I recognize something will come out of it. But it's like I wasn't. So I was just sitting here being in appreciation. I only told God and the angel, only God, but only, God and the angels
No, that
and
guy.
everybody for help, and you showing up and all that stuff. And I already started feeling like lighter and fuzzier, and, more capable, and everything's possible. So it's just a shift,
Yep.
and listening to ourselves and not everybody else.
Shift the shit. That's
That's right.
what
And
I
if you're
meant.
going to listen to someone else's advice, kind of see what the reflection of their life is around them. Because
Exactly.
you can see what's going on
Yeah.
in their environment, because and knowing whatever that looks like is what's going on the inside. If it's
Yeah.
chaotic, then there's chaos on the inside. So it's just recognizing, where are you taking this information. Now if it's someone that's like a billionaire that's happy all the time, and there's like everything they touch turns to gold, they're just joyful and happy, you're probably going to want to listen, take some notes. That's how
Yeah.
you know, because it feels
You,
good.
you want to take advice from somebody who's sad and depressed about how to be joyful, or take marriage advice to somebody who's been divorced for 3 times, or isn't in a horrible marriage. Like, pick and choose who you're getting your advice from. Just saying. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Important.
Yes. You're seeing the child psychologist that never had children. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, friends. So I'm gonna leave it at shift the shit. That's my ending. And
I love it. She's
so
a she's a shit shifter.
a shift is like, say it 10 times fast. Ready?
No, I didn't know it's going to turn into a shit show.
All right, friends. Thanks for hanging out with us. Tea Time with Amy and Bev. Be courageous. Have these conversations with others. And if you aren't feeling comfortable with that, then share the content. Be resourceful. So whether it's our podcast and information, or another podcast, spiritual teacher, author, just be resourceful and connect the people with the information that they're desiring to hear as well. These conversations are becoming more common. And if things are resonating with you from this video, then share it. Share the link, or share the information. And you can find us on many platforms. So we're on YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Podcast Addict, I don't even know. There's so many. So we're everywhere. Amy and Bev Community is our station, or look up Tea Time with Amy and Bev. And with that, do you have any final words?
Have a magical week.
Have a magical week. The infamous words of Beverly Brand, and we thank you for that. We are grateful.
We are grateful.
Thanks for hanging out. Tea Time with Amy and Bev, and we will catch you next time.
Bye.